Happy Friday, guys. Today is the 5th day of the week, and there are 5 properties that came out today. So let's get started. Let's review what properties came out first and foremost. Actually, today we can get started with the market watch before we get into the interest rates. But just so you guys know, interest rates right now are at 5.23%. And so that's, not too bad. Actually, let me double check that. Let's double check that. Actually, yeah, let's get started the way that we always get started, guys. Yeah, and that's why I thought it was a little bit low. It was a little bit weird because it's not a 5.23, it's at 6.23. So let's make sure to update that on the calculator. 6.23%, that's where we're at right now. All right. So with that being said, guys, that's the way that we get that information is from the Federal Reserve, and they report that every Thursday. So this information is just 1 day old. And that's the information that we'll use for the next week to evaluate the properties that we analyze. All right, let's take a look at the actual market, guys, because we're going to also use this information to leverage our offers with the sellers, right? And so you can see here that 2,100 homes hit the market in the last 7 days, and in the same period of time, 2,091 homes saw a price decrease. So basically it's a 1-to-1 ratio of houses coming onto the market, houses having a price decrease. When you have this conversation with a potential seller, that's the market that they live in. What does that mean for us? It means that we could also use that as leverage, right? With the listing agent, letting them know like, hey, look, man, like I know you guys are new to the market, like try to sell this now. You could sell this now at a price, or you know what? You don't have to if you don't want to be overly aggressive that way, it's fine. You could just continue to follow up because you know that more than likely the probability of them lowering the price at some point is quite high. So, unless, of course, it's a really good deal. I mean, if it's a good deal, it's just not going to last. Good deals don't last, guys. But if it's like a B property, like a C property, that you really like the location, like yada, 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 and you just want it to be a bit, reducing sometimes a property by $30,000 takes it from like a B to an A+, right? So maybe that's something that you want to play with, or maybe from like a C to like a B. So then you could play with that, right? But again, if the area is like really good, the property is really good, it's an A+ property, don't try to like negotiate sometimes these prices because if it's an A+ already, somebody's just going to come in and offer cash and take it away from you. So, all right, that being said, let's go ahead and we're going to look at new multis here in the last day. And as you can see, there are 5 that hit the market today. Okay, let's sort them by price per square foot. Okay, and we got some expensive ones today. Jeez Louise. All right, so we got a $1.55 million triplex in Miami-Dade, currently paying $12,404 a year in taxes. Square foot, it's only 1,028 square feet. This is tiny. Okay, we don't know what they're collecting for in rent yet. They do tell us. He says that they're collecting $24.50 a month in rent, which would make this probably the worst deal we've seen all year. Flood zone X. Let's look at the quality of the property. All right. So it looks almost like a single family home with like some other attached, like they built an ADU, an attached dwelling unit, and then on top of that they built another property out in the back. Look at the property next door. That is a nice little duplex setup. That's really nice. They're probably pricing it based off of that. If I had to guess, let's take a look at more pictures, guys. We just saw that one picture. Okay, so yeah, it's in Wynwood. It's like right north of Wynwood, technically Wynwood. Good job with the listing, Mr. Agent. Unfortunately, it's just the price is too high. All right, let's take a look at the actual. So this is more of a land play. Like they're betting like, the price of this property is just going to go up based on the actual land itself. Let's take a look at the actual guts of the deal. See what they have to say. Opportunity for investors and developers in the heart of Wynwood North. All right, a unique property situated in one of Miami's most rapidly transforming areas. Yada, yada, yada. Property sold as is. Okay, it's a 3-2. Okay, it's a 3-2. They say that it's rented at $1,500. Okay, and then it's the 2-1 rented at $950. So 3-2 rented at $1,500. Okay, and a 2-1 rented at $950. Okay, so that's the $24.50 that they're currently getting. And let's take this information down, guys. 1.55 million. It's a duplex. It's in Miami-Dade. Rents as is are $24.50. The returns this way, guys, are going to be garbage. Okay, 2.5% return is going to be your best return. That's if you buy it cash. So you're going to have some sort of returns. All right. Now, what are the possible rents, guys? Possible rents in Miami-Dade, right? So these are probably tenants that have been there for a while. And we don't have a lot of pictures of the inside. It's just of the location, really, that this guy wants to highlight. But it doesn't look bad, to be honest. So I think that a 3.2, like literally there in Wynwood, right? The median is about $3,000. He could probably get away collecting about, I don't know, maybe like $4,000 if somebody's gonna like rent hack it, right? And then he says that there's also a 2.1. So a 2.1 I think could probably go for like $2,500 or more. Let's see. Yeah, like $2,500. Okay. And again, I'm just basing it off the quality of the product. I mean, he might even be able to get more. He might be able to get like 3,000 for that 2.1 if it's as nice as this. But even at that, guys, it's still a terrible deal, right? Look at the 1% rule. It's a 0.45% on the 1% rule. Like it will only pay about 83% of your mortgage, and that's if you put a 25% down payment. So it doesn't make sense, right? The rents do check out, so that's a pass, okay? But the best returns that you could possibly get here without knocking this down are 6%, okay? Now, and that's $7,000. I don't think that this guy's in any sort of distress. Is there a real price deduction that we could have here? You know, like, I guess you could, you know, reduce the price here. Like if he's asking for 1.55 million, he might be able to, walk away at 1.4, okay? And which would boost your returns up to like 6.6, okay? But that's about it. I don't really think that this guy is gonna go any lower than that. What this guy's hoping that somebody comes in is going to be like to come in and redevelop this, right? So turn it into kind of like what's next door, or put 2 floors or maybe even 3 floors, depending on what's allowed there. And all of a sudden, maybe you have a commercial residential because this area is zoned for, and let's find out. Yeah, up to 9 units. Yeah, up to 9 units. And right now, it's got 2 units. Technically, it's a 2.1 and a 1.1. Okay, but apparently they turned 1 into a 3.2. So that's the way it is. It's funny because he actually has to list it as a triplex, and it's really a duplex. So triplex, but actually a duplex. Okay. All right, and I think the realistic price deduction here is going to be 150K at best. All right, so for that reason, I don't think that this is worth like looking at, guys. We're looking at properties that we could come in today and we could cash flow today. This would be a whole project where you have to tear this down, get permits, build something back up. Potentially could be worth that amount of money if you build 9 units there. You know, but that's a whole different ballgame. So for that reason, we're going to go ahead and discard this. Okay, next up, guys, we have a $979,000 duplex. This time it is in Miami-Dade, and the taxes that they're paying are $5,846 a year in taxes, and square feet, 1,888 square feet. Let's see, they're saying that they're collecting $2,500 a month in rent, which is pretty sucky. Okay, it's pretty terrible. Yeah, 0.26% on the 1% rule. You know, most people would just automatically pass on this. Let's take a look at the quality of product, and then we'll jump into the guts of the deal and see if there's something that we could update to make this deal reflect maybe a better number for us. So this is like C to D kind of product. It's just dated, old, flat roof, not a fan of that. So let's take a look at the guts. They're selling for $1 million. Perfect opportunity for investors to acquire this duplex located on a corner lot and expansive yard. Each unit boasts 2 bedrooms and 1 bath in a well-designed layout. The property is in need of some updating. Yeah, no shit. It's potential and growth and blah, 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 blah. All right, so he says that he has a 2-1 rented for $2,500, okay? All right, why is the other, okay, the other one's not rented because the owner lives in it, okay? So right now, as it is, right, he's saying that you could possibly collect $5,000, okay, from this $979,000 duplex in Miami, okay? The returns as they are, guys, if you're able to rent the other one out and given that it's in the same condition, okay, are going to be 6.8 at best, okay? Now let's do a quick rent check. Do I think that those rents are, like, you can actually get them? And I don't think so, right? So I think that the real rents, the real story here is that you can't get that amount of money. This quality is not above median. This is at best slightly below median, okay? I would not give this person, right? If other 2-1s are renting for $2,300, why would you give this guy $2,500? And that's probably because these are on a month to month, which means that you're not gonna have stable tenants. You're gonna have vacancies. And so you gotta factor those losses in. Instead of doing that, what we do is we factor for a long-term rent, which is gonna be lower than $2,500. I think that this guy might be able to get, for these 2-1s that are pretty old here and the property doesn't look that hot, I would say $2,100, and that's being generous. So I think that the real returns here are $4,200. I don't think he's necessarily in distress. We didn't see any. Well, let's see. Oh, no, it is in distress. Okay, so he hasn't paid taxes since 2025. Okay, so yes. Taxes, 2025. All right, so what do I think that he could actually decrease this price by? That's why he's selling it for so high, because he owes taxes, and so he's gonna have to get rid of that too. Well, you know, he owes taxes since 2025, okay? His tax amount is probably not a lot. $5,800, so $6,000, okay? But you know what? This guy's in distress because he hasn't even been able to pay his tax lien, okay? So $6,000, what do I think is a realistic price drop for this guy? I think that you could actually really bring this guy down, right? He wants $979. He's shooting for the sky. He just hit the market. This is going to be one of those properties that's going to see multiple price decreases throughout the life of the property, all right? And so if you could stay on top of this guy, I think a realistic price drop right now is just going to be maybe like 100, maybe 150. I think that this guy's going to bulk at anything below that, but he's going to have somebody talk to him in his ear. That's going to be his listing agent. But right now, in order for this property to make sense, and right, so like, I think that the best is going to be like 150K price drop. And that would put us at let's see, equals 979 minus 150, 829. And that would put the best returns here, right, at 6.3. Yeah. So otherwise, it would be 5.5. Yeah, because it's 5.5 otherwise. All right, so again, for that reason, there's way better deals out there, guys, that you could just look at, unless you just want to throw this guy a low ball number, and that would need to be somewhere around probably like the $500,000 price range. So half off. And then, and only then, it would get up to like a C, right? Like a C tier kind of property. So I would go ahead, I would discard this. And let's keep looking. All right, next up, a 1.399, right? Basically $4 million fourplex in Broward County. It's currently paying $19,237 a year in taxes. Okay, 2,700 square feet. Broward is expensive with their taxes. I could attest for that. $8,650 a year, a month in rent, okay? Puts it where this property is just paying off its mortgage, right? If you were to put it down to 25% down payment with today's interest rates, okay? And never mind once what do you call it? Once the taxes go up, if you purchase it at this price point. Let's look at the quality of the product. Okay, so this looks like they might have turned this into an Airbnb and it's just not working out, so now they're selling it. It looks nice. Again, very, very Airbnb. Yeah, straight into the point. Let's look at the guts of this deal and see what we could figure out. So it's actually listed as a fourplex. Let's put the price down here, guys. So 1.4 million. It's a fourplex in Broward. The rents as they are 8,650 or so, they say. That would mean that our returns, guys, just as they currently exist for this property, the returns would be 7.5%, which isn't all that great. That means that this property wouldn't cash flow, even if you put down 25% down payment. And, right, it would actually destroy wealth for anybody buying with an FHA or 10%, up to a 10% down payment loan. So, no bueno. Let's go ahead and let's see the details of this. Brand new, fully leased fourplex in the heart of Hollywood. It's an investor's dream. Not at this price, man. Only 1 year old. This property will be very low maintenance for many, many years. Units earn between $21.60 and $22.60, meaning this could make you pass the $10,000 without lifting a finger. It's quiet, peaceful, suburban, blah, 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 blah. All right, guys. So he puts us here. And so they're all 2.2s, rented at $22.60, $21.60, $21.30, and $2,100. Okay. And so let's see if that passes the rent check, right? We're in Broward County, 2.1s, on average rent around like $19.60. Now the question is like, right, why are they all rented at different prices? Maybe he got done with them all really quick and he just wanted to rent them out ASAP, right? Now I can tell you guys, I have a duplex nearby and I rent it for basically this price and it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. So I think that there's a chance that we could actually increase the rents here probably to like $2,300. I think that the property looks like it's in pretty good shape. And if you're able to do that, if you could increase the rents here by $2,300, I think the max that you could actually collect here is $9,200. I don't think it's $10,000, okay? I don't think that this guy's necessarily in distress, although if he just finished building it, he might have some sort of like short-term debt that he pulled on it, like with an adjustable rate or like at a very high interest rate. And like, it's just not making sense for him as he wants to sell it, right? And try to like at least make a little bit of money. What's a realistic price drop that I think that this guy could have here? Well, honestly, like I think that you could probably push this guy to give you a price drop of like $100,000. So 129,900. Oops, I forgot a zero there. Right? And so that would put you just above 110% DSCR, where you could find a lender to lend you some money, but it's going to be at a higher interest rate now. What does that actually translate to? I think that the best returns then could be a 9.3%, which is still below the S&P 500, guys. And so that would make this property an F, all right? Especially because it doesn't, even at that point, even if you could increase the rents to that amount, and even if you could drop the price here 100K, all right, this property wouldn't cash flow, even if you put down 25% down payment. Can you imagine putting down, what is it? Let's say 25% down payment is going to be $325,000, and that you don't see a penny coming back to you for 3 years and 3 months. I can't see that happening. Like, I wouldn't want to invest in something like this. So for that reason, we're going to go ahead and discard this. Okay, second to last, it's a $2.45 million fourplex, $2.45 million fourplex. This one is back in Miami-Dade, okay? They don't tell us how much they're getting in rents, but let's put these numbers at 2.450. Okay, whoops. One day I add a zero, one day I subtract a zero. They're currently paying $20,395 a year in taxes. Square feet, big, 5,994 square feet. That's a biggie. All right, let's look at the rents. Don't know anything about the rents. Let's look at the pictures. This looks like a commercial multifamily with more than 4 units, guys. Oh. Yeah, that's downtown Miami. Okay, so let's take a look at the actual, did they have any pictures of the properties on the inside? No pictures of the actual units on the inside, so we don't know the quality of the product there. But on the outside, it doesn't look all too bad. Okay, so it is an 8-unit multifamily investment. So this isn't kind of like what we look for. We look for residential multifamily. So for people getting started with their investment life, that part of life, the fun part of life. But let's see what he says. Features 6 2-bedroom, 1 baths, and 2 1-1s. With impact windows, 1 water meter, and individual electric meters, 4 balconies, 40-year restart completed. Okay, and so all right, here he tells us the rents. Okay, so the 2 1s, so there's 4 2 1s, but he says that there's 6 2 1s. Okay, but he's giving us some rents here, guys. So he's giving us a rent for a 2 1 at $25.50, then another one at $24.71, then another one at $24.50, and then another one at $2,000. Okay, and so that so far totals up $9,471. Okay, but here's the thing, guys. Like, obviously that would be a terrible deal. We need this property to at least make $24,000 a month. Okay, but let's do a quick rent check. Do we believe these rents? $2,500 for a 2-1. And yeah, it's believable. Okay, even $2,500 if it's really nicely renovated. Okay, now he says that there are 6 2-1s. Okay, so he has them between $2,500 and $2,000. Let's just give him the median and see what we can, what numbers we get for that. Okay, so equals 6 times, and we're gonna say 2,300. Okay, and that's how much the 2 1s bring in. And then there's 2 1-1s, okay? And the 1-1, the median is $1,600. So we'll put $1,600 here, and we'll put $1,600 there, and we'll put a 0 here. That means that this property is collecting up to $17,000 per month, right? And that's being more realistic. He gives us a cap rate, guys. He gives us a cap rate, but we don't know where his expenses are. So it's impossible to actually determine how much the rents are here. Okay. We would need to get those expenses from him. But as it is right now, right, with the way that we're calculating it, you could get up to $17,000 a month in rent. It doesn't look like he might be in some sort of distress. Let's check out the limited county records that we have here. No, it doesn't look like it. What's a realistic price deduction that I think we get this guy at? Well, listen, nobody's going to be able to buy this from him unless they are able to get a loan, right? Unless you're going to try to buy this cash. But to get a loan, most banks are going to write to a DSCR rate. And if you're a new investor, it's going to be like 155, which is nowhere near. And if you're more seasoned, they might give you like something at 125. So this guy's going to have to come down probably to like 2-1. Yeah, maybe a little bit more. Maybe they could do 2-2. Yeah, somewhere around there, okay? And so that means that all in all, he would need to come down maybe like a 200K, like 200K plus. And at that point, right? At that point, those returns would be like a C, like 12.8% return, right? Using an internal rate of return, which isn't all that great. So we estimated, again, those rents based on the unit mix that they gave us. All right, guys, we're down to our last property. Let's check that one out. But again, this property is also a fail. Hold on. Yeah. Because even if you get everything rented at $2.45 million, right? And if you're collecting those rents, actually it's a 10%. This property is a D, 10.6%. This property would end up falling in the D tier. It basically gets you the same amount of money as the S&P can get you, but with the added disadvantage that you get a lot of phone calls from tenants. And you deal with like vacancies and repairs and all that stuff. But it could be a great university, you know, if you want to learn about how to do property management, like, yeah, you'll definitely learn with it. I just rather learn and get paid. Yeah, and you can do that in this business. So last property, 1.2 million, man, all of them today were in the $1 million range, huh? $1.2 million. This one's a duplex in Miami-Dade. They don't tell us how much you're collecting in rent, but the taxes are super low. So that tells me that this guy has owned this for a while, probably. Right? $2,395. If you buy it for $1.2 million, your taxes are going to go up by like 10 times. Square footage, 3,200 square feet. So it's on the bigger side. Okay. There's no pictures, which is good for us. It's good for us because it drives other investors away. And there's no real information here, guys. No information. He says you could buy it FHA, but it's got 2 4.2s. Now let's check with the county, see what records they have, see if they're able to give us more information than the listing agent. So here's a problem. It says vacant residential land. There's no real information. Yep, no information here, guys. All right, is there any information here? He says that there's 2 4.2s. Let's see if there's like property history with this. Okay, there is. There is. Here we go. I just want to show you guys what this property looks like. Well, he says this is a rendering. Okay, that can't be real. Okay, so let's go back here. Let's see what we're looking at. So is it just an empty lot? I think it's just residential land. Yeah, there's not even rents here. Okay, so he wants $1.2 million for a piece of land, right? It's listed in the wrong place. It's listed as multifamily. That's why there's no information. That's why the taxes are so low, because it's just paying for land there. All right, so not stated, and then this is just vacant land. So it's a false listing. Returns are 0.0%. All right, guys, that's it for today. Hopefully tomorrow and over the weekend, there are better properties that hit the market. And when they come out, we will analyze them. And if there's good deals, I'll let you guys know so you can go out there and get them. All right, so have a great night. See you guys tomorrow.